Good morning, it's Dina here, and sitting next to me is Sion Schwab. He's, for everyone who knows us sisters, so he's Miriam's oldest son and oldest child and only son.
Yeah.
So Sion right now is, hi Miriam, hi Miriam, hi Miriam. So Sion is going into the army very soon, and and so for the last few months he's been in a mechina, which is a special program that prepares kids. I'm sorry for calling you a kid, even though you're like 2 heads taller than me.
It's okay.
Prepares kids for the army, and Sion is in just the most amazing mechina. Oh, okay. No, as long as it's Miriam, I thought maybe you're saying you can't hear us. So put on your earphones. Put on your earphones.
Okay.
So the program is amazing. So I think that, you know what, like the reason that I'm doing the reason that I'm doing this interview is because over Shabbat, I'm like, it's so distracting seeing these comments, right?
So you gotta ignore it, you know. Hi everybody, thank you for your comments. Good morning. Now we're just gonna go straight to the topic, and you can comment away, and we'll answer when we can.
Okay.
Now go ahead, Dina.
Thank you. Okay, so the reason we're doing this interview is because on Shabbat, Sion was telling us a play-by-play of his week in the wilderness, and it was so fascinating to hear and really inspiring. It was 5 or 6 days.
It was 5 days.
5 days. You know, they went out with a certain amount of things, and that was it. And it was very exciting to hear about. So that's what I want to hear about. But first, Sion, can you just tell us a little bit about your actual mechina, like what it's called, what the name is, and what it's been like for the last few months?
So my mechina is called Mechina Derech Eretz in Yerucham, which is in the Negev in the south, and it's a 6-month program, and we go through every week has a different topic, and we talk about all kinds of situations and topics of interest in Israeli society and in ourselves and our own private lives, stuff that we should be talking about, whether it's how to live in Israel, how to do the best army service you can, where you're going to continue on after the army, how to live in Israel in general, how to live as a good person, how to, all kinds of stuff like that. And each week is a different topic. So one week you can have topics that are based on more private stuff, and some are more society and Israel society topics. Which I could give an example, which is 1 week is activism week. So that's about you, how you give to your community, how you give to the country, how do you give for your family, how do you give. And some are more, a bigger, broader, topic, which is like the week about Yudan Shalom, which that's about, a big problem and a big conversation in Israel. People, some side of the Israeli society have one opinion about this topic, and one side have a different opinion. So for us, it's actually to go there and to experience and to see.
I'm still here.
Oh, yeah, still here.
I know, we're just dealing with some technical things.
Okay. What? Oh, it's the guy? What's that? This is, our Wi-Fi broke down, so we're using my dad's net stick or whatever you call it, and the router guy is here.
לא איתי. זה לא הבית שלי.
Sorry. Partner?
So guys, we're having like technical issues with the internet, but we're still going to continue with the interview.
Modem shama. So regards back, Josh.
I thought we're not supposed to.
It's Joshua. Josh wanted it. You gotta give something. A little shout out. So basically, this program is to prepare you for your private life and for, all kinds of topics in the society of Israel as well. It's 6 months, unlike the rest of mechinot, the most basic mechinot, which are a full year, and yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of conversations, a lot of debates and thought processes of and like making them bigger and more precise. That's basically what we do there for about 6 months. And this last week we had Shvua Tzama, the week of embuildment, right?
What was the word that I used yesterday? Empowerment.
Empowerment, the week of empowerment. Which
personal empowerment.
Yeah, personal empowerment. Which is basically you go for a whole week with minimum resources, and it's you and a group of 3 other guys. They divided the entire mechina into groups of 4 or 5 or 6, depends. And we walked in the Judean desert in Midbar Yehuda for a week. We navigated, and
you didn't have any GPS or cell phone or anything.
No, we only used maps. The only electronics that we had on ourselves was a drorit, which is this little box that has a bunch of buttons on it, and the buttons are for, one is SOS, which if you're like in a life or death situation, so you press it for
immediate help.
For immediate help, which then then a helicopter comes of Sheshtesha, and then one is just regular help, which is like a broken bone or something that is okay, and then a jeep of the company that manages this will come and help you, and one is just that you're okay, and one is just tracking mode, that it's always sending a signal to.
So it's a GPS so that there's someone who always knows where they are while they're walking in the desert. And the OK button is like they press it periodically when they get to a certain point, just so that people know, just so that they know, okay, they're okay.
Yeah. So that's that, and.
So tell us a little bit about your group.
So my group we were 4 guys, me and another 3, and a very dynamic group, a very interesting group, because each person has its strengths and weaknesses.
And very different from each other.
Very different from each other,
Is that the group you would have chosen?
I don't think that's the question that should be asked, because it's not up to what you choose. Because if I would have chosen, I would have gone the easy route. But the easy route is not necessarily the building route. It's the hardship of the week is the embuildment of it. The fact that you don't get the people you necessarily would like to hike with and travel with. That's the embuildment. How you deal with that,
Okay.
That's pretty much how it goes.
So how was it with these guys?
So these guys are very different from each other, including myself, which in our personalities and our thought processes and the way of us living, and you see it by hiking with these guys for 5 days with no phones and minimal resources. From myself, which I love hiking, I love Eretz Yisrael and seeing new places every time I get to travel it, and I also
love to succeed,
and
love
to succeed,
win.
exactly, and embracing the challenge. So if there's a mountain and we have to go up that mountain to get the point and press OK that we're okay, then I would do that. But necessarily a friend of my, another guy from my chulia, from my group, he's necessarily a little less. It's more of a challenge for him. Going up a really big hill, 200-meter hill, with a point up there. To him, it's pointless. Like, why do I have to get this point? There's no competition. There's no that. If we can walk around or find the easy route up. Why should we just go straight up? So you gotta take that into account. If each person and his needs and wants. You can't just look at yourself and see the mission and step on everybody on the way, because there's other people with you. So you gotta take that in consideration.
Did you appreciate that part of the challenge while you were in it, or only in retrospect you think, okay, I'm glad that part of the challenge was actually having to deal with the other people in the team?
I did get it in retrospect, but the retrospect came really fast. It kicked in right afterwards. Like we'd go through the motions, you know. I'd be like, okay, let's get up there, and then the guy would be like, no, and then I'd be like, yeah, and then you know, and then it would be like, okay, now what? Because you know,
And you were probably annoyed.
like two out of the guys, 2 out of 4 of the guys were like, no, we're not going up there. One was just like, I don't know, you know, I don't really care if we go up or not. So, and then it's me, which I'm like, okay, well, we have to go up there. So how do you deal with that? And then all that situation finishes when we deal, because you know it's 2 against 1, and you know it's a little different. You know, each one has his own needs and wants.
Right.
And obviously, you know, if it's first of all, I as a grown person, I should be like levater. I say levater, like.
To give in?
To give in, but not necessarily to give in, just to like understand, you know, this guy has a little, you know, his challenges are something else. If he wants to deal with them or not, it's his choice. And you know, if I'm not gonna force him. You know, I'm not gonna lose anything by the fact that I don't go up that hill. He's not gonna deal with the challenge. The fact that I want to is okay by me. You know, like the fact that in like the first thought of dealing with a challenge, the fact that I want to do that, it's okay with me. So like יצאתי ידי חובה כזה, like
okay.
I went, you know.
Right.
Like if he doesn't do the cheshbon nefesh, the thought process of, you know, I didn't deal with that challenge, I should do that more often, dealing with these challenges, then of course, you know, it's his problem. And obviously the next time he encounters a hill, hopefully he'll go up because he thought about it, you know.
The connection. Okay, so in the last video we had to stop because the connection got really bad. But I'm talking to my nephew, Sion, who is currently in a Mechina program preparing for the army. And last week he had a week in the wilderness, and he told us all about it. It was really an amazing experience. So, Sion, I want to ask you, what was one of the hardest things for you during that week? One thing like physically hard and one thing emotionally hard. Psychologically.
I think physically hard was our second night, which was we slept without sleeping bags the second night. So the challenge was to build a charcoal bed in your shelter for the night, and for it to be good enough. That you don't need to sleep with a sleeping bag, and
it wasn't.
It was cold and it didn't work, and we were so tired we didn't really lashkia. We didn't put time into the charcoal bed, so it didn't work as well as we wished. The point is, you build like a square, like a rectangle, and you do the fire in it, and you cook in it, and then when you finished all your cooking and your whatever, you do a bigger fire, so you have a lot more charcoal. We were too lazy to do that and too tired that it didn't work out, and it didn't really work out. It was freezing cold. It was so cold that it went down to minus and
below zero.
And we had ice on our shoes at the end, and it was pretty cold.
On that night also you had ice on your shoes?
No, not exactly ice, but it was really, really, really cold, like super cold.
Crazy.
And I was all the way on the left side of the shelter, and I wasn't even on the bed because we haven't dug in it.
We didn't dig it wide enough.
And yeah, and it was cold. It was a very cold night. Very, very cold night. Thank God, like I was shivering so much that the guy that was sleeping next to me thought I had a hypothermia, so we switched places, and I was more in the middle of the shelter, and in the middle is always warmer, so
crazy.
In the middle of the night we switched, and it was better, but
okay. Yeah. And emotionally or psychologically?
I think during the entire week, emotionally and psychologically, every second of the day, there's a different challenge, you know. Whether it's while you're hiking and you're doing all your points, but suddenly everybody's hungry, you know. Do you eat right then and there, or do you eat at the point, or you kind of know how many kilometers you're walking, but it feels like it's a little more. So the guy behind you, he's like, "What's going on?" You know, it's you know, you said 2 kilometers, but it feels like we're walking actually 4. What's going on? And we're like, yeah, it shows you that's 2 kilometers on the map. But obviously, because we're in a nachal, so it's right and left, so it feels longer. So how do you deal with that guy? Because for him, that's hard. For you to walk 100 kilometers is not that bad, for me at least. But for him, it's more of a challenge. So how do you deal with that? How do you get him to to deal with it properly and okay, that he doesn't feel like it's too much on him, and he doesn't want to just quit? And no one wants a whiny baby behind in the back seat, because it just bothers. It's not fun. It ruins everything. And so you try to take everybody's opinion and needs and wants into consideration, and every single point of the way there's a junction of that topic. Whether it's we build a shelter this way in that location, but it's far away. So what do we do? Or do we just build a really quick shelter, but it's not that good, it won't heat us up, and it's not in the right angle, and it's not anchored well, the plastic will just fly off, But we're tired, so we're lazy, so we're not going to do it. So obviously, when you're at home and you're like, I'm going to build a good shelter and this and that, but after you walk 20, 30 kilometers that day, who wants to build now a good shelter and carry huge boulders for the walls on the sides and anchor down the whole thing? So every point of the way, there's a different form of that same challenge.
So now that the week is over, what do you feel that you got out of it?
I feel like I've gotten a mirror of myself in all the situations from obviously during the short 18 years of my life. I've always gotten mirrors of how I act in a group or in situations of the similar kind, but this week gave me a mirror of the change I've done since the last time that mirror appeared and now. The way I used to act in these groups was a totally different way. I wouldn't care about the needs and wants. I knew the mission, I knew the goal. It was me, and I knew what I wanted. But when you come into this group and you have to, deal, you have to eat little, you have to make your own food. We didn't have a lot of food at all. We had a bit of rice, a bit of beans, a bit of bulgur, and we had a bit of
flour.
We had 2 kilos of flour. We had a little bit of salt and sugar. We had onion and a bunch of
oatmeal.
Oh, we had oatmeal as well. We didn't have a lot, and how do you spread that out during the entire week? And you're not eating a lot, so that's another challenge. How do you eat properly? But yet, so there's so many value factors in this week that they create challenges in front of you, which then you have to deal with them. I think the first challenge that everybody goes into this week is, do I deal with the challenges in front of me or I don't? Because between all of us, if we didn't want to do that week, we could have just walked away and left,
Right.
But
wow.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So the thing I got most is the way I look at a group and how I act in a group and how I.
Do you feel empowered from it?
Yeah, in a certain aspect, yes, of course.
That was the name of the week.
Yeah, it was. It was a very empowering week. It was
Yeah.
a very empowering week, especially as I was the group leader of this week of the 4 guys. I was the one that these guys gave me the opportunity to be the group leader, which means when we wake up, how do we do stuff? What's going on? How much we eat? The guy that basically has to take everybody's stuff into consideration, but yet also has to make the last and final call. So when I got the feedback about that, so that was also very empowering, because the feedback was you showed us a new, this is what one of the guys said, you showed me a new way of how to be a leader amongst the people, but when it came to the logistics stuff, I was pretty crappy about that. So on Wednesday night, we slept in a cave, and we said, okay, 6:20 to 7, we're awake. By 7:20, all the plastics is that blocked the entrance to the cave is folded up and on our back zone. By 7:25, we're gone. It didn't really work that way, because I didn't really pay attention to the times. I didn't feel like there was a need to, because it was a good night. We didn't want to keep the morale down, but to him, it felt like we set times and we needed, and of course he's right. And so how do you do that? How do you be a leader amongst the people, and how do you support and get stuff going, and yet don't lose the way of time and the mission that is ahead. How do you get the mission done, but yet don't stop, don't step on the people that are around you. That was like one of the bigger feedbacks that I've got.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Wow. So what's this week?
This week.
What's the topic? You said every week it's a different topic. You're gonna look on the fridge.
Yeah, what's that? This week it's a regular week, which means it's just regular classes and Shavua Shigra. It's like a regular week, but with a little bit of preparations for the end, because in 3 weeks we're ending the Mechina.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it pretty much.
So?
Yeah, lots of stuff I learned also. We made couscous in a bottle, which is pretty cool. If you're in the wild and you don't have any, if you have bulgur in a bottle of water and you don't have a fire, so just in the morning take your bulgur and empty out if you have an empty two bottles, one empty, one full, and a bag of bulgur. You take the bulgur, you put it in the empty bottle of water, and you add the water from the full bottle into the empty bottle. And you keep it in there for the full day, and your bulgur will be cooked. And you'll have a little cold. And if you add salt, it's pretty good, It's a little,
all right. Well, thank you very much, Tzion.
You're welcome.
It's great hearing about it. Kol hakavod. Good job.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Maybe
Maybe we'll have Tzion on again another time.
Maybe.
Yes. All right. Bye. Have a good day. Shabbat tov.